Okay, this is the battlefield behind me. As you can see, it's mowed. It would have been like this back then. It would have been a farmer's field. You see the fence in the middle. This probably was not here. A lot of the Continentals used their fence rails for their wigwams. Now in the distance you see a church, a steeple of a church. That's where one of the pickets would have been. And in the distance you'll see cars coming to an intersection down there. There's an opening in the woods down there in the corner. It looks like it's the back end, as you see a car going through it right now. That's where the British would have stormed this area. Now, like I was saying before, the British came in here in waves. It was the 1st Infantry, it was the 42nd and the 44th, and then it was the Highlanders came in. But the first wave would have been, the infantry, followed by the cavalry. Now, when they came in here, all hell broke loose. They heard screaming. They heard commotions. They didn't know what was going on. There were sabers. Basically, what the British cavalry did were coming in. They came in with sabers. They were smacking people on the face. They were stabbing people. The infantry came in here. They were coming running through here. All you could hear is hurrahs and yells and hoops. Everything. You could hear horses, screaming and jumping. You would have heard men grabbing their rifles, running around. You would have seen baggages, the wagons starting to get buckled up and getting ready to get out of here. The first initial wave was about 15 minutes. Now, a lot of these guys, when they saw this, they tried to defend themselves. Basically, they tried to form lines. Now, one of the lines would be off to my right here, with the fence line, and also behind the woods and back of me. You can see a portion of the woods here. Now, this would have been where the Continentals either exited the woods or they tried to make a defense in this area. Now, with the British about amassing 1,500 troops coming at you, it was different waves. They would send one wave in, and then they would send another wave in. But the best soldiers were at the back. The Highlanders were the last people to come in here. So basically, it was about even. There was 1,500 Americans, and there was about 1,500 British. So what they did was, it was all panic. There was really nothing that the Americans could have done. They exited their wigwams, they grabbed their gear, and they exited up towards my right here. The road still exists. They would have pulled their wagons and their cannons out this way. Now the wagons were along this ridge right here that you see, right along this trail. This is where all the wagons would have been lined up here. Now, these wagons had to get going. They had to get their horses. They had to get them in position. They had to harness them up and get the wagons out of here. So basically what the Continentals did were they were fighting hand to hand. They used their rifle butts. They used whatever they had to defend themselves. But unfortunately, a lot of these guys, you didn't know where they were in the woods. You didn't see them. All you saw was red uniforms within about 30 feet of you. And it's either you run or you're getting stabbed by a bayonet. At which time there were a lot of bayonet stabs here. This was called the Paoli Massacre for a reason. Generally after the battle, just to fast forward here, when the farmers saw that the bodies here, 53 individuals on the field, they reported back that they were mutilated. Now that's where it got to be called the Paoli Massacre. Now, a bayonet's a dirty weapon. We all know that. You get stabbed by a bayonet, it's gonna embowel you. It's gonna make horrific wounds. Now the farmers here saw this, and they weren't really used to seeing bayonet wounds. So they just assumed that this was barbaric, but it was war. It was how war was fought without firing a shot. Now the Americans got off a couple volleys here. They didn't just run away. They formed lines. Anthony Wayne was running around trying to form lines himself. He didn't retreat, he stayed in the area. They wanted to make sure that the wagons and the cannons were moving before that the main army started to move out of here. At which time, 3 waves were in here. There was about 800 to 900 men, as far as British in this area. Now, there's accounts of men everywhere. There's accounts of a man running. Now, this would have been an area where it would have been lowlands. There would have been swamps. Now there's a swamp. It's off to my north here. It's past them, those trees down there. It doesn't exist today, but accounts were that one guy in his journal said, I laid in the swamp all night up to my neck and just didn't say a word. It was dark. So he thought that he was the only guy in the swamp. He said that when he woke up the next morning, there was about 300 guys in this swamp just laying here, not moving. Nobody said a word because they didn't know where the British were. Everybody had to get away. They had to get away from this area. Now, 300 guys in this area running away is going in every direction. That's what they had to do. I mean, they really tried to form lines, but they couldn't. So basically, Anthony Wayne got his wagon, started to move, and got the cannons moving to my right down the road, and basically tried to get out of here. They tried to get back to the White Horse Tavern, where Smallwood's militia was. Now, Smallwood at the time didn't know that there was a battle going on. His troops were still stationed at the White Horse Tavern. They didn't come to the aid of Anthony Wayne in this division. Now, you could just imagine this. This is exactly what it would have looked like, the landscape. It's hilly. All these guys in this area. I mean, if you come here at night and you look around, you see house lights and so forth, but it would have been pitch black and you would not have known anything. Now, the British got into a lot of trouble because after this raid and when Anthony Wayne exited the area, there was a lot of American loyalty, knowing that the British are barbarians. Not only did they raid your house and burn your grist mill and your sawmill to the ground, now they're attacking Americans at night and killing them with bayonets. Now they're slaughtering Americans. Now this was far-reaching. This actually reached Benjamin Franklin in France. He heard about this. And there was sentiment in Philadelphia for the American cause now. The British did this, and it kind of backfired on them, because even today it's still known as the Paoli Massacre. There's some accounts of them taking no quarter. That means they took no prisoners. They just killed you. That's not true. The British took prisoners here. Most of them were very, very mortally wounded or very wounded. There was people that were taken to hospitals in this general area. Now, the ironic thing about this whole situation is that only 4 British people died. There wasn't very many that died. There were 7 wounded and 4 dead on the British side. Now, that's a decisive victory. That shows that it was a slaughter. Now, there's men on this battlefield as we look. Where I was before, there's a wall. There's 53 guys buried there. Now, after this battle, when the sun came up, the British had exited this area by then. Anthony Wayne was near the Paoli, the White Horse Tavern on Paoli Pike. This area would have been horrendous. There would have been bayonets on the ground bended. There would be rifles all over the ground. There'd be dead and wounded on the ground. There'd be British in the area camped, basically cleaning up the mess, getting their troops settled. There would have been British coming into the camp from other divisions to see what was going on here. They would have taken the field of battle, which they did, or taken the field of battle. They were encamped here, the British, afterwards. They were policing up weapons. They were moving their wounded to different places. Now, there's a church that's called Peter in the Valley. There's about 3 or 4 British guys buried there and some Americans. They would have took them into a church where there would be a hospital. Now, there would be bags on the ground. I'm thinking bags, there'd be, different types of wagons that were damaged during this. Now, Anthony Wayne left 1 cannon behind. He had a problem here. He tried to get his cannons out, and a wheel broke on one of the cannons, and what had happened was it had stopped the progress of the wagons exiting this area. When the cannon was hitched up, it kind of they were trying to get out of here pretty damn fast, and it slowed the progress of the army getting out of here. So that cannon was left behind. He had 1 field piece with him when he left, but this area here was known, the Paoli Massacre. It was a massacre, as I see it, but it wasn't like we did anything either. We went into Trenton. We slaughtered, these German Hessians too. We had the same thing. I mean, this was war, and the British could do the same things that we did. But No Flint Gray is known for this battle. He had the nickname because he told the soldiers to remove their flints. Now. There's a couple other aspects of this battlefield. It's in Malvern Township. This township is an elite township. It's a very beautiful township, and they look at this battlefield as very historic, and most likely than any other battlefields in here in Pennsylvania, except for Gettysburg. They take care of this. There's a town watch here. They make sure that this is not, you know, night-hawked at night, this battlefield. Any movement here of anybody suspicious is reported. There's a letter on the bulletin board over there. They don't want anybody here digging holes or doing anything to the battlefield that's out of the ordinary. Now, this was a battlefield, just like any other battlefield that we visited. Men shot here, they died here, and they fought for what they believe in. But this is what happened. When Anthony Wayne's division entered this area, he thought he'd basically just not be harassed here and go after the British. But unfortunately, they got wind of where they were, and the British came after him on this field in Paoli Battlefield in Malvern, Pennsylvania.